back to the channel. It's your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. Let me make sure my sounds are right. Can y'all hear me? Let me know in the chat. Hope you're having a good Thursday, November 20th. Roughly 10 a.m. I still haven't started a schedule for the stream yet. Yeah, my apologies there, y'all. So, one of those things, right? Now, before I start today's stream, I want to be real. I want to be all the way real with you, right? This is not an attack on black women. This is not an attack on black women. On today's stream, I will not be attacking black women. I will be exposing the flaws of one candidate, one member of Congress, who happens to be a black woman, and how it has a greater impact on black voters in South Florida. When I say black voters, I mean your black American voters, your black American voters who may be of Caribbean descent, Haitian, Jamaican, other Caribbean islands, Trinidad, Tobago, all put together. There's a strong contingent of people in South Florida who may be affected by this, and the timing, of course, is horrible. You know why the timing is horrible? Because most people don't realize that these districts in Florida most likely are going to be discussed to be redrawn before Christmas. So this would be a good send-off and set up into 2026 when the legislative session starts. But the timing of this is horrible. And I always say, to an extent, we need better candidates. We need better people representing us. But more than anything, thank y'all for tapping in for the stream today. I appreciate your time. I'm going to make it quick on this one because we're going to get to Sheila McCormick and some other pieces and kind of expose the bullshit behind it for the most part, right? And then have it go from there. So thank y'all for tapping in. But let's get to the bullshit. Let it begin, baby. Sheila McCormick, my girl. Let's see what people have to say, man.
Right now at 11, we begin with breaking news. South Florida Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick facing alarming allegations tonight.
Cherfilus-McCormick, who represents parts of Broward and Palm Beach counties, is being charged with stealing millions of dollars from FEMA. She's also accused of using some of that money to help her political campaign back in 2021. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren Pastrana.
And I'm Elliot Rodriguez. CBS News Miami's Abby Dodge is joining us live from outside the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami with more details.
Oh, wait, didn't set that up right. My bad, hold on.
Well, this is just the latest legal battle that the Congresswoman has found herself wrapped up in. A former federal prosecutor tells me there is much more information that the public needs to see. 46-year-old Democratic Representative Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick from Miramar is now facing several charges related to her family's healthcare company. The indictment says the charges stem from a $5 million FEMA overpayment back in 2021. It alleges the Congresswoman, family members, and business associates stole extra funds and ran them through multiple sources to disguise the source, then used some of that money to help finance her 2021 congressional campaign. Former federal prosecutor David Weinstein says more details about the representative's alleged role and how it may relate to other COVID relief cases will become clearer once the full indictment is released.
Certainly, the more the facts come out, the better we'll be able to gauge whether or not there was any misconduct.
Weinstein says cases involving the misuse of COVID-19 funding are similar to the Medicare and bank fraud crises of the past.
What happens is that these dollars go out, and when they're being sent out, nobody's really paying attention to who applied for them, why they applied for them, and it's not until afterwards when they start doing accounting and they figure out that they've misappropriated these funds that they then try to turn it around.
In Cherfilus-McCormick's case, there are also charges related to her tax filings. The indictment says the Congresswoman and her tax preparer falsely claimed political spending and other personal expenses as business deductions and inflated charitable contributions to reduce her tax obligations. The U.S. Attorney General called the representative's actions a selfish and cynical crime. Now, the Congresswoman could face up to 53 years in prison if convicted, and she is now in Washington, D.C., hopefully making her way back to South Florida to face a judge sometime before Monday. At the latest, we have reached out to her and her team and are waiting to hear back. Live in Miami, Abby Dodge.
This will be a huge case and a huge impact. I seen somebody in the chat said, something about the map. They don't understand the whole district mapping. They don't go off county. you're right. This map has a greater impact. And let me put Sheila's face on here for what it is. Go back here. Hold on, let me get a good shot so y'all can see her, right? No, not that one. I think that was straight. All right, cool. No, that was not good. Nope, not that one. All right, we're gonna go down. All right, cool. So the biggest issue is this is a black district, right? And you can tell by the configuration of the black district, just by the mapping, that it has all the configuration that has the eyelashes, the nose, and the duck lips. That's how this district is gerrymandered, because it includes parts of Palm Beach, going western Palm Beach to Belgrade, Pahokee. Then it swoops on down through the nose to include some wildlife areas. Then it goes to the duck lips to include Fort Lauderdale, Pompano, and other things. And you don't believe me. You may not believe me, chat, right? You don't believe me, chat, but this is the map that we're talking about. This stream is about Representative Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick's indictment and how it's going to impact the black voters in South Florida. Now, this is the black district, as you can see. Again, as I identified, you have the lashes, the nose, and the duck lips, right? And of course, the haters are here. Appreciate you.
Yes! Yes! Fuck you too!
Long titty, no nipple having ass bitch.
So I appreciate the haters. I appreciate the haters for being here, right? But essentially what you have here, you know, you could just do this because Hunter thinks it's funny, so I could just take the chat off. So again, this is a black district. You have gerrymandered here, Riviera Beach, Palm Beach, up Southern Boulevard until you get out to Belgrade, Pahokee, include some wildlife, Loxahatchee Natural Reserves area through the nose here, the cusp. Then it comes on down to Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale, Pompano, Fort Lauderdale area to include these black communities, right? And what you have here is a good contingent of Haitian American voters, Jamaican American voters, Black American voters, and other Caribbean island voters that really make up this district, right? And you can kind of see from the previous configuration, which was a map when Alcee Hastings was representing this area. Let me make sure y'all can see it right. Same thing, same configuration, gerrymandered to include Riviera, Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, up Southern, the black areas of Royal Palm Beach, which has a good Jamaican community and Black American community out west, Belgrade, the Loxahatchee Natural Reserves, cup that in on the nose. Then we come down to Lauderdale, North Lauderdale, Plantation, Pompano, all these areas here to get the duck lips in this black area. So this is a gerrymandered district, black district, and this is how you can kind of tell off the configuration. Now, this is very important for her indictment. There are a lot of black people who are in this area, again, like I already said, but it created a narrative since Congressman Alcee Hastings passed away in this seat to basically say, okay, cool, let me go to the current configuration. Like, this picks a situation where you have your black affluent and black voters in Palm Beach and your black voters in Broward County essentially fighting for this seat. And even though I'm from Palm Beach, I would look at it as, you know, if I'm from Palm Beach, I probably wouldn't want someone from Miramar or Pompano representing my area, just like somebody from Fort Lauderdale or Pompano wouldn't want somebody from Palm Beach or Riviera Beach representing their area, right? And I could be flawed and wrong in my thinking there, but it is what it is, but it's a South Florida thing, right? However, I do think that there is a bigger conversation because the indictment happening is really funny because I think that there's a part of, you know, you think maybe a pretty smile or whatever can win over elected officials, but nah, when it comes down to these elections, these people hold it down true to their heart, right? But the timing is really crazy because the legislative leaders in Florida, which Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick has no attachment to because she ran and beat state senators, county commissioners from Broward and Palm Beach County, state representatives, and other people that were currently representing this area, she beat them all. After she ran twice in 2018 and 2020, we'll get to that in a minute, right? But she beat them all in this district in a special election because rest in peace to Alcee Hastings. But we have a lot of black members who don't want to let go and they die in these offices and it dominoes into situations like this, truth be told, for what it is, right? So all put together, this is the community that will be impacted. Now, the Florida House, the Florida legislature is going to consider December 4th. They're going to start looking at maps to redraw the districts. And I'll say this, if the Supreme Court decides to rule on the Louisiana versus Calais decision, which is drawn up by Republicans to say, hey, this is disenfranchising these majority minority districts are disenfranchising white Democrats in Louisiana, because if you look at most situations, they aren't drawing a white Democratic seat in West Virginia or other states where Republicans dominate. So we're really drawing a seat for Democrats because, no, I'm not studying law. I'm a lobbyist. I just work in process. But I shouldn't answer that question. It threw off my train of thought. Essentially, the Supreme Court's deciding to say, all right, cool. Is it right for them to draw a seat that where 90% of the voters in Palm Beach County and Broward County that are in this black district, again, the lashes, the nose, the duck lips, right? In this black district, is it illegal to draw this because the white voters in this area are disenfranchised, right? And if the Supreme Court says, you know what, yes, we'll rule with the Republicans here, cool, then it could be a situation where the Florida legislature says, you know what, now we have a situation where we can redraw this map, and you really have essentially black people in Palm Beach County fighting for a seat in Congress and black people in Broward fighting for a seat in Congress. Or they can split it all together and make it all work for what it is, right? And it's not a part of pushing partisan politics what it is, but this is how the district is currently drawn, right? So when you look at it that way, it's like, all right, cool. If this is how it's currently drawn, and they take it out and include more Palm Beach, less of Broward, or they compact Broward or whatever it is, because the Supreme Court's already said the legislatures can draw maps that benefit them, right? So the party in charge. So if they look at a situation like this where they don't have to draw a majority minority district because it disenfranchises white Democrats in Palm Beach, then it's like, you know what, damn, this is a bigger play. But all put together, most people aren't talking about that. They're going to focus on the criminal charges and things of that nature. Again, we'll get into that because there is the point of highlighting and saying this has a bigger impact and a bigger domino than people actually realize. And I don't think people are really getting to the fact of you're running for office, whether on ego or actual public service, right? And then there's a point of what are you going to do to get elected? Because when the dominoes fall and the indictments hit after the Epstein shit, now you get a situation where all these black voters in South Florida are going to be impacted by Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick's bullshit ass decision to take FEMA money, the overpayment from the state, and put it in a federal campaign account. Now, I can say a lot, but I don't want to say too much. But I do want to be real. There has to be a situation where black elected officials out here stop making bonehead ass decisions running with people's money, especially federal money. Because there's a part of it to me that says this is federal FEMA money that went to the state of Florida that was overpaid to my organization. And I end up using this in my federal campaign account. That means it had to go in a federal insured bank system. And now I'm in Congress. Like, why would I do that? Actually, I had a call with a client last night and they said, yeah, Phil, it doesn't make sense to me. Why would you do this? Like, it's like, because on the Republican side, they have money. Now, there's some Democrats that have money. Don't get it twisted, but a lot of Democrats are broke. A lot of your favorite, even black Democrats, as they say in the culture, are some brokies. Not me. I'm not saying it. Just look at, as the people say, go look at the financial disclosures that they have to submit when they run. I'm not saying I'm looking at them, but just listen to the conversations people may have in the process. And that's how they judge how they're going to be respected in politics. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm being real, right? So when you have someone who has a net worth of 10, 15, 20, $50 million, $100 million plus, they're not coming in to say, yeah, I'm going to take federal money, $5 million, and put it in my damn campaign account because I can loan myself $5 million. And if I win, essentially, depending on how much I spend, I can reimburse myself off the loan I gave myself initially. That's part of the game. But when you don't understand the game, because I always say to myself as well, it's like you hear the conversation of foundational black Americans, we need this, we need reparations, the American descendants of slaves, cool. But for the foundational black Americans, this is what America needs to give to us. But to me, it's always like, why don't y'all even operate like foundational Americans? Because foundational Americans are saying, you know what, I'm not running no grassroots campaign and being broke and hoping that this title and this ego I have to feel important is going to make me something. Essentially, it's saying like, no, I got the money to do it. I can go build my family legacy. We are 5, 6, 3, 5, 6, 7 generations into a state, Nebraska, Florida, Georgia, wherever. I can do it. And then they run. And they're not just running for the cloud of ego. They're running for the cloud of like, listen, I got some bigger shit I got in store, right? Whether it's public service, whether they want to fix something. But then when you get to the fact of in situations like this, where you have a minority majority district, you have situations where people going to do whatever the fuck they got to do to run and be elected, right? And that's exactly what happened here. So I'm going to get into some of the money briefly, right? Let me make sure I straighten this up. I want people to see on the vertical stream. Let me actually go here and straighten it. Yeah, that's better. So I'm going to put in Sheila. It's only been like a couple of them. Rest in peace, Sheila Jackson. That's ran for Congress, right? And if you go to the campaign, there are a couple of things that are alarming, right? Off top. Because people will talk about the $6 million, that's cool, when she ran, but she had a paper trail of running before. And I'm not against Sheila McCormick, I'm not against Congresswoman Sheila McCormick. I'm not attacking black women. I'm just going through the simple shit that's like, you know what, this is kind of eyebrow raising, right? Especially on understanding how political processes work across the board. So in 2018, she ran and raised $39,000 for the race, roughly less than 40 for what it is. And even for this race, you want to go to financial summary, she raised 32, basically 15 itemized, whatever. She contributed 13,000, right? To the race, spent 39,000. That's 2018. So that means, all right, cool, you ran this, but your opponent had a lot more money, right? Frank, I'm not wasting my time with that. Frank, if you were on the stream, I'm not wasting my time with that right now. Yes. So 2020, let's get to it. You have to build kind of a track record. 2020, a lot more money. I'm running again, and I'm not getting into the narrative of what happened during those campaigns. I'm going to strictly, okay, how much did she raise? She raised $69,000 for that race, 2020. So if you look at it, like being realistic, all right, cool, that's a nice set of growth. Pause, right? You have 40,000 you raised your first campaign, right? Roughly. That second campaign, you doubled up and you raised roughly 70. Cool. And let's a financial summary just to get into it. Cool. Even that one, you loaned yourself 50,000. Damn. All right, cool. She really wanted this shit, right? I'm not even looking at what her opponent spent. I'm looking at what she raised. Okay, cool. You spent 29,000 because you're like, you know what? I put 50,000 of my money in. I'm not going to spend 50,000 of my money for a loss. Right? I'm running grassroots, and this is a grassroots strategy. The grassroots strategy is like, listen, this member is old. This member is an older member. There's a likelihood he's going to stay here, but if I keep running, I'm going to build a base of supporters, a base of people who are going to love me forever, right? Cool. We're going to get there. All right, we're there. So all of a sudden, the gentleman passes away, right? And just to really go through it, let's get on. Let me see if y'all can see this right. All right, cool. Look at some of the numbers from these races. Like, we have to put perspective out there. This is the 2020 race, 18,000 votes off of 70,000. I'm not even getting Alcee Hastings' money and how much she raised, 52,000, right? The race before that, is it here? This is Ballotpedia. Wait, no. This is the first race, excuse me. This is the first race where she raised about 40,000, right? Cool. She got Molly Watt, respectfully, first time candidate. 73-26, it is what it is, right? You put 50 up on him, it is what it is, 40 plus. He went on to win against the Republican. So the second race, what she raised, let me see if I go here. The second race where she raised is 69,000 and loaned herself to 50,000, right? And again, I'm not exposing shit, I'm just going through the facts. These are the facts of what's reported, right? She lost that race, 30,000 votes. So essentially, she paid 26,000. Got 27,000 votes, not bad. And then that first race, she raised 18,000. So it's a mindset of saying, all right, cool, I ran for office. I'm going to get at least 20,000 votes, right? I went from 18 to 26. Alcee Hastings isn't on the ballot anymore. There's a good chance I'm going to get 20,000 votes if I get my base out. So I'm not going to disrespect that at all because she's put in the work before the bullshit, right? You ready for the bullshit? Let me know if you're ready for the bullshit, chat. Let me know in the chat. You ready for the bullshit? Where's the bullshit, Phil? Say, where's the bullshit? Nobody? All right, cool. Fuck it. Here's the bullshit. That next race, this is 2020. The next race, 2022, this is all public information. You go to fec.org to get the same information I'm looking at with you, right? How much do you think it is in the 2022 race for that special election that happened in 2021, right? For that roll, because, you know, it's the time period is that gap, 19 to 20 or whatever, but what's the gap here? Hold on, it's got to refresh. Come on, FEC, is everybody on the website right now? Hold on, that's 2024, let's go to, and here's the bullshit. Can I get the 2022, please? The server must be popping on 2022. 2020. Let me try it this way. All right, there we go. So again, now we're looking at it. Let me straighten this out for y'all a little more, right? Give y'all a little more space on the screen. I got some black space I can fill in. Cool, right? But think about it like this. Wouldn't this be a little alarming? Like, wait a minute. How do you go from, you ran in 2018, and this is political psychology, like 40,000 that you raised. All right, cool. The next race, 69,000. So if anything, the next race, you should probably have 150,000. No bullshit, at the high side, right? At the high side of this policy, because listen, you have to understand, these are not corporate givings. These are individual givings, right? When you're running for Congress, you can't go get a corporate check. You have to get a personalized check. So what they're saying is, all right, cool, from this person, they have to give this amount. How many of your friends are going to be able to go say, yeah, I want to run for Congress right now? Let me put this up just for the clip, all right? The issue here is, again, when you run for Congress, how many of your friends can you hit up and say, yeah, bro, I'm about to run for Congress. I want to represent Palm Beach and Broward County. You know, I'm from here. I was born and raised here. Well, I grew here. Y'all know me for real, right? Can you cut me a $3,500 check for my congressional campaign? Like today, let me know in the chat right now. Can you cut me a $3,500 check so I can go run for Congress? And a lot of your friends will say, like, bro, I could probably $25, $50, maybe $100. Like, you know, I support you, bro, but you know, let me know, like, hey, give me a month. I got to raise that myself to give, right? You know, that's the excuse the average friend may give, unless they got it, right? So if you don't have it, in the last 2 times you ran, you only raised less than 70,000. All of a sudden, okay, the congressman I ran against is gone. I have a base of 20,000 voters out there that I can go get. And all of a sudden, I'm going to run. But guess what? I'm not expecting that a state senator is going to resign to run. I'm not expecting that a couple of state house members are going to resign to run. I'm not expecting that a couple of county commissioners that represent Palm Beach and Broward have been waiting for this opportunity along with me. They just haven't filed to run against this man. And I got to run. But the last time I ran, I raised $70,000. And then I decided to run in this race, and all of a sudden, I get $6.7 million in my race. And here's the bigger eye-catching shit, right? You can win the lottery. You can run, you could be running an e-commerce business. You could be doing a whole lot of stuff between 2018 and 2021 to say, you know what? Yeah, my net worth increased. I can give myself $6 million now. What's up? What's up? I can put $6 million in the shoe. What's up? The issue is, when the Democratic Party sees this, you know what they say? Oh, shit. We got a fundraiser. We got somebody that can run the bag up against these Republicans. We found somebody who's tapped in. May need some water. We found somebody who's tapped into the money in South Florida to go win. And we can be competitive across the state of Florida, in Georgia, everywhere. We can get to it. You got to go raise money for the Democratic Party now. You raise $6 million. You got to go raise money for the party to compete against the RNC. And they didn't realize that they were tipping off the African ceiling bird. That was going to look at the fact that you raised $6 million after you raised less than 70 the first 2 times. So that means that you hit a strike of gold. So what you gonna do in that next election in 2020 when you running for re-election? You gonna raise at least 6.5, another 10 million just to keep you in. 639. Wait, what? That's because you're elected. That's because they want to keep you in now. That's because they're looking at like, wait a minute, what? How? I thought you were supposed to be raising money for the party. We expected more from you. So maybe we're gonna raise 600,000 again. It's a tenth of what she raised when she won, but we're gonna get it again because guess what? She can raise money like Pelosi. We need money to win elections. We need money for TV ads. We need money for everything, polling. All the polls they run, Trump's favorability is down. You got to pay for that. You got to pay for the scientific information for that. Where's it going to come from? These Democratic members who can go raise some money and drop it in there. This DNC bank account. So this year, we go 600,000, 220. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. You're raising a lot of eyebrows now. You're raising a lot of eyebrows now. Like, wait a minute. How did you go raise $6 million for a special election when the favorable candidate raised $1 million and he was a former county commissioner? Wait a minute, you ain't come from that. I ain't saying it from no pedigree, Jack and Jill, none of that. You didn't come from the people in this community have seen my name on the ballot. They see me in the Sun Sentinel. They see me on WPEC. They see me on the news, but they don't even know you for real. But you showed up every day like, hey, I'm here, pretty smile, nice wig. Hey, what do you do? Running for Congress for you, to serve you. Can I get your vote? I don't even need your 3,500. I'm not even getting to the other shit the indictment talking about. I'm just getting to the basic shit that's kind of raised eyebrows because, again, when you ran for office the first time, that's the second time, sorry, that's second. The first time for Congress, and they called, you had to $10,000 is what you got to raise to file. What are we even talking about? 39,700. What are we even saying? If it's not clear, and you know what? Here's the issue. Here is the issue where the money come from, right? Now, you have a lot of people saying, hey, go get one of these government contracts. Go get one of these government contracts, dog. Because the government always gonna pay. Government always has issues. Government always gonna pay, right? And they say when the Congresswoman was the CEO of this business, Trinity Healthcare Services, they were providing healthcare. Not even healthcare, sorry. They were providing, they had a contract to do registrations for COVID-19 vaccinations. And they had a $50,000, I guess, payout. And they got a $5 million overpayment. Now, I don't know about you, to be fair, right? Now, wait a minute. Maybe we return this money. Maybe wait for them to call. We're going to put it in the bank and wait. Somebody say, hey, take that shit, hit. I'm done. I'm out the country. What do they not extradite? I'm gone. I'm out of here. What are we saying? But no, they use that money, and this is what the state said, because, it's a paper trail. It's federal money. It's FEMA money, which was given to the state of Florida to be dispersed, and this is how we got here. I know some of y'all may have seen it, but it's my take. Hopefully they don't have an ad here.
My old phone carrier was reaching their hand into my wallet and just helping
I pay for
themselves.
YouTube ads can't control
having
this.
no surprises when it comes to my cell phone bill. And with Spectrum, it saved me a ton of money.
Real customers, real
Let me
savings.
see if I
To
can.
see how much you can save, visit spectrum.com/save.
Tonight, an update on a story CBS 12 News broke last week.
Yeah, the state of Florida now suing a local company called Trinity Healthcare Services over close to $6 million in COVID response overpayments. Trinity's CEO at the time, Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick.
And tonight, our Victoria DeCardenas, who was the first to report this story, brings us an important update. Victoria.
Jim and Liz, this lawsuit filed by the Florida Department of Emergency Management on New Year's Eve made headlines last week, not only because of how much the state overpaid Trinity Healthcare Services, but because Congresswoman Cherfilus-McCormick has also been in the news over her congressional ethics investigation. The state sued because when they asked for all of that money back, they say Trinity ignored their request. Now, Trinity says they did respond, but the state has been ignoring them.
Ain't no way, not about no $5 million.
2 weeks after the Florida Department of Emergency Management sued Trinity Healthcare Services, the medical company has issued a response to the claim they owe the state almost $6 million. Here's what happened. Trinity was one of the many companies across Florida paid by the state to register people for and administer the COVID vaccine. In March of 2021, Trinity sent the state a bill for $50,578.50. In June, the state mistakenly sent a check for $5,057,850, thanks to a misplaced decimal point. Trinity cashed that check and several others, which overpaid the company over $5.7 million total. Then, in June of 2024, the state sent Trinity a letter asking for the taxpayers' money back. The state says they never got any response. So, last month, they filed suit against Trinity. But this week, Trinity is insisting they did answer, claiming they were unable to verify they were overpaid by nearly $6 million. They also claim the state never responded to their reply. But here's where things get a little murky. Congresswoman Cherfilus-McCormick was CEO of Trinity Healthcare in 2021, and she signed those invoices to the state herself, so she knew how much they were billing. And as part of her congressional ethics investigation into campaign finance irregularities, she reported her income from Trinity increased by $6 million in 2021.
Now let's go back, y'all. Hold on.
She reported her income from Trinity increased by
What's the only difference here, y'all? Let's just, and this isn't me, right? This is common sense being political, right? What increase? What are we saying here, y'all? I gotta put my phone on the charge so I can. Oh, got my cords here. Right? What increase? Come on, man.
$6 million in 2021. Not only that, but just days after Trinity was overpaid by $5 million, Cherfilus-McCormick personally loaned her congressional campaign committee $2 million.
What are we talking about, man? Let me make sure y'all can see it. Y'all can't see it. Y'all can't see it. My bad. I got too excited. Y'all can't even see the numbers. Look, I gotta do the whole spin again. I gotta do it all again for the clip. Y'all know I gotta do it again for the clip. Let's go back. We gotta get the clip right.
Was overpaid by $5 million,
I'm gonna go out.
Increased by $6 million in 2021. Not only that, but just days after Trinity was overpaid by $5 million, Cherfilus-McCormick personally loaned her congressional campaign committee $2 million. And
what are we talking about, man? I don't have the same energy. Bro, what are we even saying? If you had the $6 million the first time, if you had it, here's the thing. This is a paper trail, y'all. Why didn't you use it in 2018? Right? Wait for it to load up. Let's wait for it to load up for a second. Because this big, come on now. When you loan yourself $7,450. Am I tripping? Chat? Right? Or in 2020, it's like you gotta come up with a good 50,000. I'm not saying the money would have helped you win that election, but it's like, all right, bro. What are we doing? Where's the money come from? Right? That's the problem. The problem is you have these elected officials who get in these positions who fuck it up for everyone else, to be honest. Let me see what else they're saying. There's got to be some other news on this. No.
And breaking tonight, federal prosecutors say...
No, not that one.
The Justice Department has indicted a Florida congresswoman alleging that she stole millions from FEMA. Her name, she's a Democrat, Sheila Cherfilus.
I didn't know my shit was wrong there. My bad, y'all. Hold on. There we go.
Justice Department has indicted a Florida Congresswoman alleging that she stole millions from FEMA. Her name, she's a Democrat, Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick, is accused of taking $5 million in agency funds to use for her political campaign. Scott McFarland has the story.
I'm Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick, Democrat for Congress.
When Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick was running for a seat in the U.S. House in 2021, the Department of Justice says the Democrats stole $5 million in COVID-19 disaster funds to support her congressional campaign. A federal grand jury indicted Cherfilus-McCormick and several co-defendants Wednesday. Prosecutors allege a healthcare company she ran with her brother was overpaid $5 million in FEMA funds for a vaccination staffing contract. They say the company received that money in July 2021, and Cherfilus-McCormick used it for her campaign. The funds were routed through multiple accounts to disguise its source, they say. And a portion of the money was funneled to friends and family who donated to the campaign. It's the latest legal battle for Cherfilus-McCormick, who's already under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for campaign finance violations, including misreporting the source of a contribution. In a statement, Cherfilus-McCormick called the case a, quote, sham indictment, insisting she is innocent.
No, just to stop it there, to be real. It's a paper trail for me, right? If you had $6 million before, you would have done it, right? Let me make sure y'all can see this. Because it wasn't just one loan, right? The biggest one was $2 million. Then everything else, because you can only spend so much in a primary or whatever. So she was dropping this in the special. Right, 2,300,000, 290, 200, 150, and it's like, where were you spending the money at? To be real, going to expenditures and actually repay the loan too, because you can do this. You can repay the loan for what it is. You repaid yourself $2.4 million of the money, over time, which is wild to me, right? Absolutely crazy. But where did you spend the cash? Biggest expenses. Law firms. Move this over, hold on. You need some good lawyers for this. Advertising, 60,000, 40,000, urban initiatives, digital buys, TV buys, effective TV, and Coral Gables. Listen, Outfront Media, I think that's Outside Media in Pompano. So she was dropping money locally. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bar complaint against this group, because they had to know something. Buying up TV. I mean, that's part of the game. As you see, running for Congress costs. So even if you're running in a black district, Ben Williams doing a bit digital buy, there are people who gonna make money on this. 17 or 18,000 at the Rosen Center. That had to be like some Democrat shit, right? But all put together, it's like there comes a point of saying you raise all this money, so that next election, 2024, to me, Democrats, the DNC is looking at like, all right, you raised that much money, how much you giving other ones? You repaid yourself $132,000, right? There's no other committee that you're giving money to. And that's a part of the game where it's kind of like, okay, you've received committee contributions, National Broadcasters PAC, JetBlue PAC, one of these Communication Workers of America Union PACs, Toyota, American Health. So there's money you end up receiving, but you didn't raise that same money back, and you didn't give money to other Democrats, which is really the main structure of it. You raise money to run for Congress, then all of a sudden, you raise $6 million, now you caught up in this. Now, do I think she's guilty? I think she's charged. And I also think it's kind of funny that the FEMA money hits and all this happens, but my biggest thing is the people who be impacted in this district. Let me straighten this up again, right? For this part, before I get to some other news that people care about outside of Florida politics, right? I don't touch Florida politics. Our governor's too sensitive. I don't do that shit. right? My issue is the voters in this district now who, when the Florida legislature starts discussing this new map, they're not going to be talking to a former member or a member of Congress who was a former state senator, a former representative, or had some kind of inkling or ties to Tallahassee, right? They're going to be speaking about a district being held by an indicted member of Congress, which has happened before. No, not saying in any kind of way, right? But at the same time, they're going to look at this and say, you know what, damn, how should we redraw this map if the Supreme Court tells us we don't have to draw majority minority districts anymore? And that just swamps out the electoral power, potentially, of this entire district. So that's my take on the Cherfilus-McCormick piece. I'm going to shift over to some other news now.